The Turkish lira fell to another record low earlier on Monday at 20.10 to the dollar. Atilla Yesilada is the analyst for Turkey at GlobalSource Partners. And thanks ever so much for coming on the programme. Now, look, we're seeing the Turkish lira down off the back of these election results. What's your outlook here?
Well, I'm afraid to say that these are the better days for the Turkish lira. A lot for the outlook depends on how Mr. Erdogan wishes to play the game of the economy, even though some claim he would repent from his strange policies that turn conventional economic wisdom on their head. I seriously doubt he can change at his age, which means Turkey is the only nation in the world which fights soaring inflation with low interest rates and by essentially beating up everyone that raises prices. That being the case, obviously, Turkish people cannot get any real returns under their Turkish lira assets or their deposits. They're going to continue to flock to hard currencies. I have been able to scrutinize Google to find several forecasts about the dollar-Turkish lira exchange rate. I think the most optimistic calls for 26, which is roughly a 30% depreciation from Monday's close. Some even go further into the rabbit hole, calling for 30 in the dollar-TL exchange rate. I agree with the gist of these measures, and I think the only feasible option for Mr. Erdogan to stick to his low interest rate policy and prevent a currency crisis is to establish currency controls, that is, to severely restrict the ability of Turkish people to transact in hard currencies.
You've mentioned crazy inflation. You've mentioned the unorthodox interest rate policy. The economy is very wobbly, but Erdogan didn't mention the economy in his acceptance speech. I mean, what do you think he's going to do? Can we expect more of the same?
Well, first of all, Mr. Erdogan and his Islamist advisors, in fact, apparently, according to the results of the ballot, half the nation lives in a different reality where they simply don't believe in traditional economics. Whatever bad happens to Turkey is the work of either the opposition, which is in cahoots with nefarious foreign forces, or it is the result of, the economy being bad all around the world. I don't think he's going to change. I mean, even if he changes tack, he might bring back former economy ministers like Naci Agbal and Mehmet Şimşek. Past has shown that he doesn't stick to these orthodox policies. In a couple of months, he gets bored and goes back to his usual guns. So we might have a brief respite in the summer months, also thanks to buoyant tourism revenues. But in the winter, I'm fairly sure we're going to be back at the old game of repressing exchange rate depreciation and fighting inflation with what we call administrative, so non-economic measures, and lira will collapse.
It's interesting what you say about the team that he's going to build around him and how important that's going to be. And you also mentioned sectors like tourism. I wonder what else you think is going to drive the Turkish economy in the short to medium term and bring some kind of stability back to the economy.
First of all, I think at the end, Mr. Erdogan will have to eat humble pie and call IMF with a standby to stabilize the economy. But speaking more broadly, tourism and services are the golden children of Turkish economy. These are also fairly immune to political cycles. I think, health tourism and essentially healthcare are good. Turkey is still going to be competitive in her traditional export industries like iron and steel, cars, textiles, clothing, cheap investment goods, etc., etc. Also will add on top of that the defense industry. Turkey's defense industry products are cheap, resilient, and have proven their mettle in many battlefields from Africa to Ukraine. But overall, what Turkey needs to do to catch up with its European rivals or with Asia is to become a high-tech society, and under Erdogan's strange economic policies, that's like implausible.
Interesting stuff. Atilla Yesilada, thank you very much for your insights.